This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
Joining me now, John Brummett, columnist with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Good to have you with us as always, John. Let's begin with Senator Jim Hendren not running for re-election to his Senate seat and says he's not going to run for governor either. He's going to focus on Common Ground, Arkansas, and his kids. Are you a little surprised that he's stepping away from the political scene?
I don't guess I should have been surprised. When you think about it a little bit, it's not that surprising. I sound like I'm trying to have it both ways, but when I first saw it, I thought, I am surprised. So I hadn't really pondered that he wasn't going to stay in the state Senate or attempt to. I would have more likely considered that he might involuntarily not return to the state Senate, since he's lost popularity, I would think, among the Republican base. But you phrased it just right. I gather you're sort of hinting or implying that he says he's not out of politics, but is he really? And if that's not what you're implying, it's certainly what I'm implying in a column I've recently written, because I sent him a message late that day, the day of his announcement, in which I said, "I'm going to miss you, man. You were finally starting to come around." And he said, "I'm not going anywhere. You're not going to miss me. This is the work I'm meant to do. You're going to be seeing and hearing a lot of me on the Common Ground Arkansas front." He believes, I think, that Common Ground Arkansas, while it's the way it's constituted as a nonprofit, it can't run a slate of candidates or recruit a slate of candidates, can get the message out around the state that we need community leaders, problem solvers of a bipartisan nature to run and get elected to the legislature of whatever partisan label, independent, Democrat, or Republican, and that people are going to agree to do that and start running, and Common Ground at that point can be supportive of them. That's sort of a parlay to get the message out and get the right people to run in the right places against the ones he's trying to target, meaning the most extreme right-wing ones, who have been sort of trivializing our legislature in his view and in my view. But that's what he says, and I'm dubious but hopeful about that prospect.
We will see. All right, you fired off a slate of arrows on Wednesday this week. These are your political fortunes and misfortunes here. We're going to begin with state politics. You gave Asa Hutchinson an arrow up. Why is that?
Well, I think he's done I say that he straddles as well as Bill Clinton straddled without splitting one's britches. I guess I should go ahead and finish that to say, meaning the ability to triangulate and cover his bases with both his, cover himself with both his base and with the political center. And he's doing that. He pleases somebody like me many days by resisting the politics of resentment and rage that's dominating his party on the state and national level. But then some days he can post a picture of himself talking about what a great American Kevin McCarthy's Chief Deputy Steve Scalise is. I think he does a remarkable job of staying in touch with the right, but being different from the right. And it is possible, unlikely, but possible, that there will be post-governorship for him some national premium on that, some national demand for it. It all depends on Trump, whether Trump is running again and whether Trump is inevitable as a nominee. That's getting far ahead of ourselves. We've still got midterms to go. But I think Hutchinson's pretty politically adept and pretty governmentally adept. He's resisted, where most important, some of the destructive, extreme conservative things, while not being completely out of touch with that base. So when I look at the job he's done and the approval ratings of about 50-something% still, at least in the University of Arkansas poll, maybe yours, I think pretty well done.
His potential successor, the front runner right now, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, you give her an arrow up as well. Why does Sarah Sanders seem to be on the uptick in your estimation?
I think only because she's already won the Arkansas governorship. in 2022. Sorry to all the Democrats out there and all those who believe in never giving up and fighting to the finish, and I hope that they do. But she's raised $11 million. Remember, it wasn't that long ago when you and I and others were talking about this battle royal with Sanders versus Rutledge versus Griffin for the Republican gubernatorial nomination. Now the other two have wilted before her money and all the endorsements that she's received. She has lined up now. ACE has endorsed her. The entire congressional delegation has endorsed her. 101 members of the legislature have endorsed her. By preemptive acclamation, she is proceeding to what looks like a coronation rather than an election. And I just acknowledge that. And that's just, she's a powerful force. I've never seen anything quite so preemptive, but that's the way our politics played now. Money, celebrity, and everything on the Republican side. So if you lock down the Republican side overwhelmingly and scare out all your opposition, you seem to be headed inevitably toward public office. It's very early to say that. And I give the Democratic nominee, whoever it might be, all the encouragement in the world to run hard. But let's be serious. It's an uphill. Let's understate. It's an uphill battle for a Democrat. So that's why I do. I say she's got the socialists on the run. Both of them keep up and into each other, trying to get out of the state. But they're trying to find a state to run to that's not just like Arkansas, a bordering state, which was my little quip. I like to do some quipping in some of my little era narratives. So
you're not naming names of who those two socialists are, so that's good.
As long as I don't cause them, yeah, as long as I keep them anonymous, that's right.
All right. You gave Joe Biden, the president, a down arrow. Yeah. Why are things backsliding for President Biden? I thought he just released 50 million, barrels of oil from the strategic reserves, going to drive down these high gas prices. Why does he get a negative or down arrow in your book?
Well, just to be precise, I fired that arrow on the day, I fired it before he announced that. And I put in the text that sometimes this is kind of a spoof on the rapidity of how conventional wisdom can change. And I put in there, sometimes these arrows' directions can change between the time I write them and the time you read them. However, I don't think releasing those reserves, I don't see it as a game changer. Maybe it will be. Taking that out of it, the reason is his approval rating is from over 50 to 38%. Presidents are not in good shape when there are there's the first significant worry about inflation in years, when the supply chain is interrupted to the point that people can't get their business done, when the direction of the country, the people's attitude about the direction of the country is not positive, and when he's made his bed with this not the infrastructure bill, which I think is fine, but this other Build Back Better thing, which has got a lot of good individual components, but is not messaged well, has not been defined well, except as a large amount of spending that the Democrats are fighting over. So for all those reasons, and look at the midterm polls, largely a reflection on the new president. 41% Democrat, 51% Republican, leaning on a nationwide basis for the midterms. It's not unusual for a Democrat, for a president of a new party to get crushed in the midterms of his first term. But it looks like right now that looks like what's going to happen. So down for now, subject to change. We'll see if gas prices fall and everybody tools around with plenty of gas, even as he has to try to work with the left-wing base that doesn't want gasoline used so much because we need to worry about our environment. And a lot of that's an example of how he's up against it, trying to do pragmatic things and deal with the philosophical base of his party. And he's just not faring well, not entirely of his own fault at this time.
All right, we'll end on your favorite subject, and that is Donald Trump, the former president. You gave him an up arrow. Did it hurt you to give him that up arrow, or was this just simple
that upward
justification?
That upward arrow went through my heart and through my skull and left me the man you see before you right now. he's irrepressible in his appeal to his people, and he's irrepressible. And do you get 100 emails from him or his Save America thing every day? I mean, they're ubiquitous. He's just staying, he and his network staying highly active. The insurrection, the Republicans don't seem to think it was any big deal. And if he is the kind of person who could run again for the Republican nomination and win pluralities in all the primaries because of his base to the point that he becomes inevitable, then he is the candidate to oppose what today would be an incredibly weak Democratic candidate. And at the same time, the states that he won it in, they were all close. And some of them, like Arizona and Georgia, maybe Pennsylvania, have had some restrictive new voter restrictions in place since then. And the whole dynamic would be changed. So I think right now, these are high times for the megalomaniac of Mar-a-Lago. Right now.
A new phrase there. I haven't heard that one before.
Well, it's got a little alliteration.
It does.
M's and L's, yeah. Right.
John Brummett, columnist with the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Always good to get your take. Thank you so much, John.
Thank you, Roby. See you next time. Bye-bye.